Let's go to Paul in Palo Alto. He's been hanging on patiently. He wants to talk some Giants. And where do the frustrations lie within this team? What's up, Paul?
What's up, guys? I think you got definitely right about the players, but there's one name for me that comes up to mind, and that's Larry Bear. As far as he's just been here too long, and I don't want to blame Posey because he's, like you said, he's at the kind of inherited mess. But one thing I do notice is there was a lot of blame on Farhan, and I think Farhan was just absolute trash. I'm not going to mince words, but he couldn't get the guys he wanted around him, it seems. Now, Posey can as well. And then Posey seems to have this impeccable reputation. So then who's left as far as you're not going to change ownership? It's Larry Bear to me. There's something about that power structure at the top that doesn't seem to appeal to the biggest free agents, the Sabians, the John Bars, the whomevers, the first choices you want at every of these positions. And then you look at player development in the farm. I don't want to come down Randy Wynn's road, but what is going on when you go 10 years and the only player you developed is maybe a number 2 starter and you don't have one? I mean, I guess you had a Ramos all-star season. Is that really it?
Yeah.
For 10 years of top 10 picks and this and that, and you haven't traded any of them for any reasonable players. I mean, the Devers trade was nice, I guess. It's not working out so well, but there's just something wrong with that very top of the organizational chart. Where it doesn't seem to appeal.
Paul, you seem to have pretty good perspective. I want to compare and contrast the Niners and the Giants right now. I'm just going to throw the Warriors to the side because I just feel like we've talked about them forever. If Jed York was running the Giants during this last 11-year run where they've only made the playoffs one time, we would be calling for his head, would we not?
Oh, for sure. But, I mean, the sad thing is I think Jed York would have actually spent his way out of it. If he had no salary cap, I think he would have pulled the Eddie and he would have spent his way. I mean, that's what makes me most frustrated with the Giants is you pay $100 for parking, you pay $20 for a beer, and they can't friggin' sign a number 3 starter in the offseason for a 3-year deal. It's like, what the hell are we doing?
It's a great point.
I mean, I'm tired of it.
Look, I'm with you. Look, I have my own qualms with Jed.
Thanks, Paul.
I get frustrated with him. Look, he's never won the big one. This ownership group, for the most part, even though Greg wasn't the head of the snake at the time, they have won 3 championships, and it's very, very, very difficult to do so. But I'm just saying, like, if Jed went 11 years with one playoff run, we would go insane, would we not?
Yeah.
If Joe Lacob goes 11 years with one playoff run, we would go nuts. Charles Johnson, Greg Johnson, and whoever's been running things over there, they've made the playoffs one time in basically 10 years. This is year 11. One time. And I don't see him, we want to blame, and I'm guilty of this as well. Blame Farhan, blame Bob Melvin, we blame Kapler, yet we haven't blamed Charles Johnson at all. Greg Johnson at all. And so, I think he makes a lot of good points. Let me defend Posey just for a second here, and I want to lay this out. You tell me what you think. As we're comparing the Niners and the Giants here, I think Lynch has done a really good job. I think people forget kind of what happened at the beginning. He inherited a team that just fired Chip Kelly. They were 2-14. They had the number 2 overall pick. Do you remember how they started 2017?
With Kyle Shanahan's first year? They were 0-9.
0-9.
Yeah.
They were
the 0-9ers. No, that was the joke. It was the 0-9ers, and then it was the 1-9. Yeah.
They were eliminated from the playoffs week 12.
It's tough.
It's almost impossible. This is who they brought in that year.
Oh, no.
Okay? I just want you to listen to some of these deals. A 2-year deal for DeAndre Carter. A 4-year deal for Earl Mitchell. K'Wan Williams got brought in that year, which ended up being a good deal.
Yeah, I like K'Wan.
Pierre Garçon, a 5-year deal.
Garçon.
Robbie Gould, 2-year deal. Brian Hoyer, a 2-year deal.
Oh, God.
Kyle Juszczyk, a 4-year deal.
Great deal. It's a Hall of Famer.
Logan Paulson, 1-year deal. Malcolm Smith got 5 years. Aldrick Robinson, Dakota Watson, 2 and 3 years each. Elvis Dumerville, who led the team in sacks, got 1 year.
I like Elvis Dumerville.
Lewis Murphy and Marquise Goodwin.
Florida legend.
They threw money around. Now, we all understand football's different. You can cut guys or whatever. There was a Niner tax. That's why Earl Mitchell got 4 years, and Garçon got 5, and Juice got 4, Malcolm Smith got 5.
I cannot believe they gave Malcolm Smith, who was awful on the Raiders. Oh, my God.
They let Torrey Smith walk. He had like 800 yards the next year. They let Antoine Bethea walk. He was a Pro Bowl alternate the very next year. I couldn't believe that. They let Mike Davis walk. They let Ahmed Brooks walk. And they cut Navarro Bowman 1 month into the season, which was very controversial at the time.
Yeah.
All right?
But he was done.
Year one, they had the number 2 overall pick. This is before they played a game. They traded down. Everyone went nuts. They drafted Solomon Thomas. It's one of the worst picks in Niner history. Trey Lance, you could say, sucked, and he was terrible, and they traded a bunch of picks for him. Solomon Thomas ain't far behind.
No.
He's not. He's just not. They took Reuben Foster in the first round. They traded up to get Reuben Foster.
And that was a whiff.
He was off the team 1 year later, and a calendar year later.
And the red flags were there. You knew it was a risky pick.
He had a shoulder injury before he even came out, as well as a million things off the field.
Correct.
This is year one. Akello Witherspoon led the NFL in pass interferences over a 2-year period.
Yep.
C.J. Beathard, they traded up for. Joe Williams never played a down of NFL football in the 4th round. Now, you took Kittle. That was just like
Hall of Fame, slam dunk.
Trent Taylor, DJ Jones, Kendrick Bourne was undrafted, Breida was undrafted, Nick Mullins was undrafted. They started 0-8. They traded for Jimmy Garoppolo. They go 0-9. The quarterback gets hurt. Jimmy's forced to play. They win 5 of 6 to finish the season.
They did.
Jimmy wins 5 of those. Not only were we questioning how good the roster was, they were the worst scoring team in the NFL before Jimmy Garoppolo took over. They averaged 17 points a game. We weren't just questioning John Lynch. We were questioning Kyle Shanahan. We were questioning Jed York, the direction of the franchise. All right? Now, Jimmy breathed life into everything. They gave Jimmy the richest contract in the NFL after 1 year. And people were drinking the Jimmy Kool-Aid, were they not?
They were.
Do you remember what happened in 2018?
Were you drinking the Jimmy Kool-Aid?
Everyone was.
Okay.
Of course I was.
Okay.
And the Shanahan Kool-Aid.
Right.
And the John Lynch. Do you remember what happened in 2018?
Jimmy G tore his ACL.
Year 2. Yeah, but
sorry.
Free agency was
we didn't get there yet. Okay,
all
all right.
over the place.
Yeah, so go.
And the draft was all over the
Give
place.
it to me. Give me the history.
They brought back Eric Reed. Everyone was like, what? Kilgore got a 3-year deal. Brock Coyle got a 3-year deal. Cassius Marsh got a 3-year deal. Carlos Hyde, they let walk. Everyone questioned that. Aaron Lynch let walk. Everyone questioned that. They brought in Richard Sherman on a 3-year deal with a torn Achilles.
People question that.
Big time. They signed Jerick McKinnon to a 4-year deal.
That was yikes. Did you like that at the time or no?
No, Jerick McKinnon?
I know. The Jet.
Weston Richburg got a 5-year deal. And they signed Alfred Morris to a 1-year deal. Within days of the season starting, they traded Kilgore away. Trent Brown got traded right before the draft. Zane Beadles, DeAndre Carter, who they drafted the year before, or they signed the year before, got traded away. Then in the draft, they reached and took Mike McGlinchey 9th overall. Dante Pettis, 44th overall. They traded up to get him. Fred Warner, thank God they got him. Oh, Tavarius Moore is who you drafted with the Trent Brown pick. Kentavious Street, Richie James. By the way, the Rams went on to go to the Super Bowl, and Trent Brown won the Super Bowl with the Patriots in year 1 against the Rams.
He did.
Jimmy played 3 games, tore his ACL. You won 4. You went 4-12. That was 2 years into Lynch and Shanahan. We were questioning Jimmy. We were questioning Shanahan. We were questioning Lynch. Their big free agent pickup, Cassius Marsh, was cut from the team. Richard Sherman had a very up and down season and missed some games. The point that I'm going to is we were ready to run John Lynch out of town. We were ready to run Kyle out of town. We were ready to run Jimmy G out of town. In year 3, they went on to go on a magical run, and everything changes. Year 4, Jimmy got hurt again. The team stunk. We've got to pump the brakes on Posey. We're a year and a half in. He just started year 2. We're a year and a half in. I don't know if Vitello's the right guy. I don't know if Posey's the right guy. But I do know this. It's a lot easier to turn things around in football than it is in baseball. And yet, after 2 years, we were ready to run Lynch out of town, Robert Saleh out of town as DC, Kyle out of town as the offensive coordinator. I'm not here to say Posey will be as good as Lynch. Both were Hall of Fame level players on the field. Both had no experience running a team before they got the job. Both hired guys, upstart dudes who had never been managers or head coaches at an NFL level. Now, Kyle had more NFL experience. It's not even close. Kyle's dad was a Hall of Fame level coach. So he had way more experience than Vitello. Vitello's way riskier than what Kyle was. All I'm saying is that we're jumping the gun on panicking on Posey and Vitello. We have to pump the brakes a little. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. We're 12, 13 games in. Everyone relax. Just everyone relax. Devers has got to hit. Adames has got to hit. Chapman's got to play better defense. I don't know with Jung Hoo Lee. We'll see. We'll see with Robbie Ray and Logan Webb and the rest of that rotation. He's got to make more moves. They've got to draft and develop. I want to see it with Bryce Eldridge. But to run him out of town and say that he can't do the job after 3 weeks and a year, I just think we're a little premature on this. This is coming from me. I'm frustrated. I'm pissed. I'm angry. The bullpen sucks. They should have brought in some more bullpen help. They should have signed Framber Valdez on a 3-year deal. There's a million moves I wanted to see them make that they didn't make. But to say that he can't do the job, I just think it's way too premature.
That's what I agree with you. My frustration, if I'm a Giants fan, and 888-957-9570, we're doing a compare and contrast right now. Niners, Giants. We'll keep the Warriors out of this one, though. And I do think that's well put, that we forget, we see all the success with the San Francisco 49ers getting to 2 Super Bowls. You forget the struggles early on. And we talked about it right here at 95 in the game. You called in, then you were a host, here at the station. They wanted Shanahan gone. They wanted Robert Saleh gone. They wanted John Lynch gone. And who was highly thought of around the league right now? All 3 of those guys. Hell, Robert Saleh after this past season, you'd forget what he did with the New York Jets, and it was god-awful there. But what do we do a lot in sports? We blame the organizations sometimes before we blame, that coach. And the Jets were such a dumpster fire. We were able to let bygones be bygones with Robert Saleh and said, you know what? It wasn't him. It was them. It was Woody Johnson, the owner. It's that city. It's that, they've just been a dumpster fire. I do think the Giants are still highly thought of around Major League Baseball circles. I do think they are, respected in that regard. From ownership, Buster Posey, I think, brings a level of credibility.
No doubt.
They are not a dumpster fire. They're not looked to be that way. The 49ers were a dumpster fire when Shanahan and Lynch took over. They absolutely were. And I don't think people nationally realize how bad it was from a prospect perspective in the Farhan era. Let's not get it twisted, Joe. He was brought in to help the farm system. Was he not?
Yeah.
It was bare. And when he got fired and when he left, there wasn't a whole hell of a lot. There wasn't anything really.
And I look at all the different rankings, the top 100 and the international signs they've made. It's great when these guys are high on the rankings, but the reality is, Joe's, we don't know. Luciano at one time was high in the rankings. Matos was in the top 100, and Harrison, before they traded him away, was in the top 100. He was the best lefty prospect in all of baseball.
Yep.
So these guys have to produce, but the numbers do tell you they have improved their farm in a short period of time. They have nailed some international free agent signings, but we have to see that fruit start to bear over the next couple of years. It's not going to be right now. It's just not.
I'm looking at it right now, too, as we're talking about and comparing and contrasting. And where's your frustration lie, Giants fans, most with this team right now? 3-8, 4 straight losses. Is it management and Tony Vitello? Is it upper management with Buster Posey? Or is it the players? 888-957-9570. I'm on the MLB Top 100, the prospect rankings for 2026. I've already seen 1, 2, 3, 4 different Dodgers before I saw a San Francisco Giant. How is that possible?
That was all probably in the top 10, right?
No, but in the top 25 though, Sam. No, but it's how?
They're better run right now. There's no denying it.
And yeah, I see Bryce Eldridge there, and he's 22. So that's good.
But these rebuilds take time. So they
got another guy that I've never even heard of, 41, Josuar Gonzalez, shortstop.
It's not like, see, the problem is baseball's not like the other sports. Like the other sports, by a year and a half in, you're like, wow, Cade Cunningham, they got something there. You know what I mean? Like in football, Caleb Williams. Look, if we asked everyone after 1 year on Caleb Williams, he was plug and play, by the way.
Yeah.
If we asked everyone after year 1, are you in or out on Caleb? I think it would have been pretty split.
It would have been split, and you know what they would have said? Because the NFL, what do we do if quarterbacks compare and contrast? Oh, Jaden Daniels, they should have gone him.
Yeah.
Because he was better.
Well, a year later, how are we feeling?
Caleb's the guy, and Jaden Daniels might not be able to stay healthy.
And again, because that sport is so coach reliant and play caller reliant, I think a lot of that is Ben Johnson related. Would you agree?
I would absolutely agree.
And so it's much easier 2 years in when you've seen 2 full seasons of Caleb, who's a plug-and-play player who we also watched in college, and to see the turnaround. And yet I look at Major League Baseball and, like, you know, we've heard about Bryce for now 2-3 years, some people, and we still haven't seen him at the bigs. And we'll see if he's good. Baseball is very slow when it comes to the development. That's the hard part with all of this. So Buster took over 2 years ago or a year and a half ago. It takes time to put your imprint on it. Now, the guys he did bring in, we can analyze that. You signed Willy Adames on a 7-year deal. How are we feeling about Willy Adames? Just today.
Not great.
Not great. But is there anyone in AAA or AA who you're like, yep, that was a guy who maybe they should have given an opportunity to? They gave a couple weeks to Tyler Fitzgerald. Remember, before they signed Willy Adames, he had that 2-week stretch where he looked like Barry Bonds. Aren't we glad we signed Willy Adames and didn't roll with Tyler? And I like Tyler, but, like, he's not that good.
No.
Right? Now, will they have overpaid for Willie? Probably. I kind of said this last year. They probably did overpay for him, but there was a tax.
Oh, the guys that you're going to be paying attention to are James Tibbs, who I mentioned earlier. That was the guy that was part of the Devers deal in Boston.
I'm
and also
still doing that deal.
No, I hear you. And Kyle Harrison.
Yeah.
And if those guys end up producing and playing well, and Devers is, he doesn't live up to the hype that he had in Boston, then there are going to be conversations.
Sure.
But it's going to be a little bit before we get. See, that's the thing in baseball, too. Like with the prospects and bringing them up and the trades. Like, I still hear from Giants fans about, who's my guy? Zach Wheeler. Right? Remember? The Beltran era, like, was Zach Wheeler going to be the difference?
7 years for him.
That's what I'm
saying. They traded him, and 7 years later, he had a great year.
Exactly. Like, and then I remember once upon a time it was, from the A's when they were still here, it was Jesus Luzardo was the guy who's just now being a dude with the Phillies the last couple of years. But they knew the writing on the wall when they were at Oakland. By the time that he was going to be legit, they were going to be long gone, or they were going to be doing another rebuild. So
the problem is that the guys that, and again, I know that Jung-Hoo Lee was here before Buster got here. Like, I'm just going to give you, as Giants, I'm going to give you their numbers. Matt Chapman, in 3 years, almost 300 games, 241 hitter, 333 on base percentage, 447 slugging, 780 OPS, 49 home runs in parts of 3 seasons, 150 RBIs, 24 stolen bases, 140 walks, almost 300 strikeouts. He strikes out 1 time a game.
Sounds about right for his stats, though, overall, and what I've seen from the Matt Chapman era. How many Gold Gloves in that span?
I think he has 1.
He has, yeah, so 2024, yeah.
Yeah, 1. Yep. Jung-Hoo Lee. Now, this predates Buster. 3 years with the Giants. He's played in 200 games. 260 batting average, 320 on base percentage, 384 slugging, a 704 OPS, half as many runs as Chapman. So he only has 91, 10 home runs, 67 RBIs, a grand total of 12 stolen bases, 62 walks, 100 Ks. So he strikes out once every other game.
It's a whiff.
Willy Adames, in 2 years, 171 games, a 224 batting average, 316 on base percentage, 419 slugging, 735 OPS. He scored 97 runs, hit 31 home runs, 90 RBIs, 12 stolen bases, same amount as Jung-Hoo Lee, 84 walks, 192 Ks. Again, he strikes out more than 1 time per game. Rafi Devers, in 101 games, has a 231 batting average, 338 on base, which is the highest of all these guys. It looks like, yes. 440 slugging. He's slugging less than Matt Chapman. A 778 OPS, less than Matt Chapman. 54 runs, 21 homers, 53 RBIs, 0 stolen bases, obviously. 67 walks, 160 strikeouts. He's 1.5 strikeouts a game. Are you noticing a common theme? Your big top dog players who are making 40% of your payroll, as Giants, they're all hitting under 250 except Jung-Hoo Lee. 241 for Chapman, 224 for Willie, 231 for Rafi, and 260 for Jung Hoo Lee with no power, no pop, no doubles, no nothing. With a ton of strikeouts.
And how much, what is that? Combined, what's their salary? Total? 400,
well, it's
500?
40% of the payroll. So right now, I'll give it to you right
I
here.
was going to say, just millions, like the total contracts
right now you
combined.
got $30 million for Rafi, added up. $30 million this year for Rafi, okay? 26 for Adames, okay. 25 for Chapman,
okay.
18, let's call it 19. So that's 49, 65, 75. That's $100 million in salary.
And then the total contracts is what, $400, $500 million? Something like that?
Over the life of the deal, yes.
Jesus. It is as simple as that sometimes in baseball to me. You pay your top dogs to produce like top dogs, and if they're not producing, that's on them. Tony Vitello can try to do all of his fire and brimstone speeches. He's not up there swinging the bat. Those guys are swinging the bats.
If Rafi Devers doesn't pick it up, Boston, no matter what happens with their trade, will look great for unloading the deal.
Well, right
and
now,
I know Breslow's getting ran out of town.
They're the worst team in baseball right now. It's them and the Giants. No, seriously, those are the two worst teams in baseball.
What's the common denominator amongst the fan bases? Well, you won a bunch of titles over the last 25 years, and yet you are in the top 15 of payroll, but it doesn't feel like you're really going over the top on payroll.
No, they feel like they've been lapped by a couple different teams in their own division.
Toronto,
the Red Sox, and the Giants are actually very comparable in that regard. Yeah. Toronto, the Yankees, the Rays are always there. The Baltimore
that has the Diamondback vibe in the sense of like maybe they're not as big of a spender, but they've been doing some good things in player development.
Correct. And as I mentioned, the Rays, they're even in a tougher division because the Rays aren't dummies like the Colorado Rockies have been forever.
I watched the Dodgers yesterday because the game was on FS1 earlier against the Toronto Blue Jays. And before you look up, it's 6-0 or 6-1 or whatever it ended up being. And that's with Scherzer on the mound. And I just, every other guy was driving the ball into the gap at the Rogers Center. Ohtani, Tucker, Freeman, Teoscar Hernandez, Max Muncy, and Pages. That was your first handful of guys. Their batting averages for this year alone, 282, 278, 262, 353, 267. Pages is, I don't know, only batting 474.
Joe, as a team, they're batting 300 right now. That's leads Major League Baseball. Their OPS right now as a team is 889.
It sucks because I really thought this was one of the best lineups that they've had in a long time. And I still think it has the possibility to deliver on that. Like they could perhaps deliver on what I thought could happen. But the reality is they need Devers, Chapman, Jung Hoo, and Willie Adames to play better.
408, I struck a nerve with the Jaden Daniels not being able to stay healthy last year. Spadoni, shut the F up. You don't know crap about Jaden. 650 on the Boxer and Gerson work injury attorney text line. Joe, if it's so hard to rebuild in baseball now, how come the Dodgers haven't missed the playoffs since like 2013? I mean,
I have no other excuse other than to say they're way better at this than everyone. What else can I say?
No, it's true.
Kind of like how everyone views OKC currently. Like they're just like loaded with draft picks and they've got the best talent. That's the Dodgers with unlimited spending.
They've just tried to reload kind of like the Warriors, but worse because they can't get big names, talent to sign with them in free agency. As we were just kind of alluding to, you have to make the trades in that scenario. They made a trade for a big-time bat in Rafi Devers. And say what you will about, the name not being up there with the Judges and Ohtani's, he is thought of as a top 10 hitter in baseball.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah.
Whether you want to think that or not, nationally, he is thought of that way. If you watched his time in Boston, it would prove that. Well, the problem is he hasn't been that with the Giants, and that's frustrating.
I'll be real. Boston should feel very validated on one aspect alone. Not a chance in hell this guy should be playing third base.
No.
Let alone first.
Absolutely not.
I'm questioning him at first. There is not a chance in hell he should be playing defensively at third base.
209. They are not carry players. Adames, Chapman,
I agree.
Devers.
He should be.
I'm not going to put Adames and Chapman. If Adames and Chapman were on the Los Angeles Dodgers, let's just use them as an example.
They'd be 6, 7.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly where they would be. Now, they are so loaded that they could have that luxury, but they're closer to players like Pages and Rojas or even Teoscar Hernandez, who quite frankly would be one of the best players on the Giants right now if he was here.
But I think where Giants fans get frustrated is it's not just the Dodgers. Look at the roster for Philly. Trey Turner with Schwarber, Bryce Harper, Alec Boehm, and they're frustrated, trust me. Stott at second base, Garcia in right field, Marsh in left, Raul Muto behind the dish, who's been excellent for them since signing from the Marlins, and Crawford, this 22-year-old kid who looked amazing yesterday. I was blown away.
I didn't even know who he was. Yeah.
And by the way, Philly's furious with this team.
Of course they are. 6-4. That's Philadelphia, though.
But your lineup doesn't look as good as theirs.
We had David
Would you agree?
No, it doesn't. Well, because, Joe, look at it. I mean, Trey Turner, Carl Schwarber, and Bryce Harper, the first three batters.
I know.
And say what you will about Bryce Harper now.
Those guys were on Team USA.
Yeah, no, exactly. And Bryce Harper, prior to that game yesterday, I mean, he's batting 200 after it, but he wasn't doing anything.
No.
That was kind of his breakout performance. You know what? He likes playing in San Francisco. And, well, that opens up multiple wounds, too, because of, we go back to the sound before the season. He's like, oh, if Bruce Bochy was still there, maybe I sign. They didn't. Yada, yada, yada.